Hello, this is the Trial by Stone. So tonight I want to talk about Robocop, Paul Verhoeven's 1987 action satire film. Yeah, it's one of my favorite fucking movies. I've seen this plenty of times now. I just watched it again tonight, and I consider it to be a part of his science fiction action trilogy. I call it Paul Verhoeven's science fiction trilogy of Robocop, Total Recall, and Starship Troopers. So this movie stars Peter Weller as Murphy and/or the eponymous Robocop. Miguel Ferrer as Bob Morton, Ronnie Cox as Dick Jones, Ray Wise as Leon Nash. I believe Ray Wise is the same actor who plays Leland Palmer in Twin Peaks, David Lynch's Twin Peaks, and yeah, and Nancy Allen as Lewis, which is one of the things that I love about the movie. I love her as a character. She is just really fun. I love her little karate kicks she does when she fights people, and I love the fact that they keep her and Murphy's relationship platonic. She is just his friend. They do have a fairly I don't know what the word is, sexy-ish scene that's kind of insinuating something there, where she helps him aim to get his targeting system back on since it's all fucked up, when he shoots the baby food that he has to eat. But man, I love this movie. It is just one of... God, I wish I watched it as a kid. I would have been fucking in love with it. I see why I didn't. This movie's really violent. It's got a bit of that ultra-violence for you. The good old ultra-violence, as Alex DeLarge says in Clockwork Orange. I love this film. The Phil Tippett's go motion, I believe is the correct term for his stop motion technique he uses, is so cool. It's so good. Ed 209 looks so good even today. I love his little lion roar that he does. His like stock lion roar. It's so funny to me. And the way his foot twitches after Murphy shoots him with the giant big ass gun at the end. It's just so cute. I love it. And whenever Robocop turns into stop motion, specifically when he's fighting Ed the first time, it's just so cool. It looks like I'm like when I was a kid and I would bang my action figures together. It's the coolest shit ever, and I love it. And Murphy's great. He is such a great character. I love characters that are these very human people that are turned into something that is no longer considered human, and they're still longing for that humanity. Characters like Swamp Thing, for example, from Alan Moore's run, or another comic book example is Robot Man, which is a little bit more similar, from Doom Patrol, where he's this guy who got in a car wreck, lost everything but his brain, and then his brain was put inside of a robot body, but he feels, or he has he feels everything. Like, he has the urge to feel everything still. He's still, for all intents and purposes, he's still human, but he can't feel, but he feels, you know, like he knows that this was a sensation that he once had, and he can't anymore. It drives him insane. I love characters like that, where Murphy has lost his humanity in a way, and he's still on this hunt for it. Like by the end, when he's sitting at the fire, and he's talking about how he's talking about his wife and what happened to her when he's asking Lewis, and He's like, I feel them, and you just sense that longing in him for what he's lost. And it's so well done. It's really really well handled, and Peter Weller does such a good job at portraying him, especially his anger. I noticed on this viewing where like I love it when he goes back to his house and then he is walking around and then as he starts putting these pieces together, what his life once was, you see him just get visibly angry and he just starts moving way faster and he punches the TV. It's so good, and he's so good in it. And the makeup effects for him too, like his neck looks so freaking cool, and the way his skin is stretched across his face looks so good. To the point where they fucking ripped it off in Guardians 3 with the High Evolutionary. It's and they even make fun of it that they did that. It's so good. And the subtle details of like how he still is Murphy is just a really really cool cool way to show that. Like the how he spins his gun and before he puts it in his holster every time, that he saw from TJ Laser, the TV show that his kid used to watch, and he was like, will you do that, Dad, or whatever, and now he's trying to learn it for his son. But he still does that as Robocop. And the same thing with his car. When he's driving his car out of the police station, he will like scrub the bottom of it, which he did when he was going out with Lewis the first time to go fight Clarence. And Clarence Boddicker is such a great character. I wish I could... I think his name is something Ray Smith or something. He is so fun. Can you fly, Bobby? Guns. He's one of the funnest 80s villains ever. He's so fun. God, I love him. And he's just eating up the scenery. Every one of his cronies are. Freaking, what's his face? Leland from Twin Peaks. He's same thing. His facial expressions are so fun. Like when Murphy goes into the club and he like punches him. He kicks him. He kicks Murphy in the balls, and nothing happens because I mean he's a fucking robot, and it hurts his legs. So then Murphy picks him up by his hair and starts dragging him around, and his face is so just animated. It is some Jim Carrey level shit, and it is so funny. I love watching it. Just everything in this movie is just so... Everyone is in on the joke, but everyone is into it. They know what they're trying to do, and they understand the assignment, and they're all doing it very very well. There's so many good things in it. The satire is really, really good. I think it's more, for as not subtle as Robocop is, I think it is more subtle compared to something like Starship Troopers. But it's really well handled, talking about big business and corporations and how in this dystopian society that Delta City is, that they will just fucking own everything and be the military, and they say something like that at the end. I think Dick says like, what are you talking about? We are the military or something. We practically are. And it's scary, and it's scary how close to real life that actually is. That you can go into a fucking Walmart and buy a gun. It's scary shit, and it's timely, and it really makes this movie hold up. And on top of that, it's not only critiquing like businesses, but or like companies and capitalism and whatnot. But it's also critiquing police. They because if Robocop is this he is this symbol for like the strength of police, right? And he's this big hulking behemoth, which Murphy was not. Murphy is this skinny ass dude who just signed on to the force, immediately gets fucking murdered in the most brutal way possible, and then is just turned into this perverted version of what the police should be. Like, he's brutal. He's almost like Judge Dredd in a way, where he just takes no answers, kills everyone. Like, and it's man, it's so felt, and the shift between that is, and to be honest, it's not like it is that big of a change. The police were already doing this shit before he was RoboCop in the movie. Like, they were already just murdering people left and right. Like, police brutality does not exist in this universe because it's the regular. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating and scary how real it is. And it's definitely critiquing it because, I mean, they aren't doing their job right. like even with, I mean, sure, I guess you could blame OCP, the company that owns the police, but they are still, like, crime is crazy, which is why they even need a RoboCop. And when RoboCop comes up, it starts to help a little bit, and then you just have the business who created them fucking it all up. So I don't know. It's fascinating, but off of the satire, just other things I love about the movie, like the matte paintings that they use for OCP, really show. It really accentuates how dystopian it looks. It's very industrial. It's really really cool, which all culminates in this like industrial battleground for the last 50 minutes of the movie, where he fights Clarence and fucking Leland drops the giant pile of rubble on Murphy, which looks so cool. The fact that they use a dummy for that scene just makes it look so good. I remember the first time I watched it, it was like, how did they do that? They just dropped this giant fucking metal thing on my man. like what did they do? And I like that a lot of different, like, the kind of what I was saying with like the police versus versus OCP is no one is necessarily a good guy. Like, even Bob Morton, who seems like he's he's a better guy than Dick Jones. Like, he's not, like, he didn't create Ed 209, and the first introduction of Dick is he's like, hey, I have this new robot, and then it shoots a guy and kills him immediately, which is really funny because, like, the very next scene, the boss who controls OCP is like, he's not worried about the guy at all, who literally just died and is bleeding out like 10 feet away from him, and he's like, man, you know how much money this is going to cost us? You're going to get fired for this. It's and then Bob is like, well, actually, I've got RoboCop, and yeah, so you would think that Bob is like more of an okay guy, but like, even he is just, he's just terrible. Like, in the opening scene with that, he's just completely kissing the boss's ass. Like, he's just and I keep calling him the boss because I think in the credits his name is like the man or something. It's something weird like that. He doesn't have like a name. But he is just completely kissing his ass the whole time, and like, he goes so far as to remove Murphy's arm when they're turning him into RoboCop. He's not a good guy either. No one's a good guy. No, there are no good guys in Delta City. Everyone sucks. And yeah. It's great. there are other things like just funny things because this movie is pretty goofy too. It's pretty cheesy. I will say one not cheesy thing that is fucking sick is when the gas station blows up and Murphy's walking out of the fire. That shot is it goes so hard, and yeah, I love gas station blow up scenes when they're really really cool like that. Like the when Christine catches on fire, um, is so cool. It's so cool, and this movie he looks so badass walking out. It's God, it's so cool. Um, and yeah. Where was I going? I am totally rambling like I do with all of these. So, and I do have a little bit of notes for this one, but because I decided to take notes while I was watching this time, but I am still kind of winging it, just so you know. But yeah. It's just it's great. I love this movie. The score is so good. I listened to that shit on repeat for the longest time. It's up there with like the Godzilla themes, some of my, and of course you have like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Harry Potter and the Avengers theme or what have you, of like great themes that I love. Jaws, Close Encounters, whatever. But like E.T., there's so many. But like RoboCop and Godzilla specifically, I think are incredibly underrated. It makes this movie feel like a superhero movie because I mean that's basically what Robo is. He's practically a superhero. He's got his own theme. The fucking Coke shootout is like some of the sickest shit ever, and he shoots his gun like Han Solo. It's awesome. The action in this movie is great, but no, there's some goofy shit in this movie, like where uh, Dick is talking to Bob Morton, who is also another Twin Peaks actor. He plays Albert, I think his name is Albert, Dale's old uh, FBI buddy, who is just such a asshole, but he's really funny. He has a really funny scene with Harry where he gets really sexual out of nowhere, and it's really funny. It's a really really funny scene, and he's great. He's a great actor, and he's really fun in this. But there's a scene in a bathroom where Dick is talking to Bob, and he's like, you know, I used to call my boss all these stupid names, and he's like, Iron Butt, and he's like, Boner, and he says, asshole, and it's just that was the rude names to call your boss back in the day. It has not aged well, and makes it really really funny. And the same with Dick's really long, stretchy arms, his stop motion self when Murphy shoots him out the window, which is one of the, aside from the pretty cheesy moment, which I like. It's endearing and it's cute because it's stop motion, and stop motion is always cool. But right after that, you get, in my opinion, one of my favorites action movie endings ever, where you have the boss who's like straightening up his tie, and he's like, there was some good shooting, kid. What's your name? And he goes, Murphy. And then you hear the theme rise, and it cuts to black, and Robocop. It is one of the greatest endings ever. I fucking love it. And the pacing in this movie is so good. It's so fast. Like, it just flies by. I never feel the time whenever I watch this movie. It's just awesome. It's just an awesome, underrated action movie that not enough people talk about. But has a lot of cultural relevance and timeliness that I think makes it really, really hold up, and is totally worth revisiting. It's one of my favorite movies. I watch it. I was checking Letterboxd, and apparently I've seen it at least once every year for the past 3 years, including this year. So it might be one of my yearly movies I watch, which I don't have many of. But Robocop is one of them because I fucking love that movie. It's so good. It's such a good movie. I definitely suggest checking it out if you haven't. Sorry for the whole spoiler alert for this. I probably should have started with that, but you know, for the few people who are watching my videos, sorry to turn you off if I did that. But yeah, I love this movie. It was directed by Paul Verhoeven, and that was Robocop. Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Go form your own opinions for yourself. And if you watched it based off of my recommend, please comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, this is The Trial by Stone. So I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.